Greetings and welcome. Thank you for tuning in to RPMMO Radio, whether you're doing it live right now over at twitch.tv/RPMMO Radio or at any one of the number of places like iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, where you can see us at RPMMO Radio or rpmmoradio.com. Basically, it's just our show with a whole bunch of other letters and numbers after and before it. So, this is our 12th episode, more or less. I'm not saying that it's more or less our 12th episode. That's just the title, more or less. So, I am your host, Ashen Phoenix, and with me, of course, is the ladies, Jazz.
Hello.
And Sib.
Hello.
I can't take credit for the ladies thing. You guys have to just get used to that. There's a book we listen to, and it's a bunch of nerds, and that's how they say the ladies. So, there you go. It's a good little series. It was Off to Be the Wizard. If you ever like nerdy things, they realize the entire world you live in is a computer, and there's a program that they accidentally find.
No spoilers. Come on.
Yeah, because it's the first chapter, and it's in the intro of the book that tells you all that.
Spoiler.
You're a spoiler.
I can't be.
Darth Vader is Luke's dad.
Yeah.
No. Snape killed Dumbledore's grandma. There you are. Oh. So anyway, of course, like I said, you can visit us at all those other places. That's just what we do. We have we're not going to do a couple of things a little different today. We're not going to do news because we're going to go over Sib's music request hotline, which is the question she asked 2 weeks ago about what kind of stuff do people listen to before we hit into our main topic. And also because there really wasn't a ton of news that was really roleplay related that wouldn't wait until the next show, and this was actually a lot neater. Filler! But, so, let's see. What have we been doing in our games and role-playing? Anybody?
I've just been trying to focus on a new guild that I found called Weaver and participating with roleplay events that they put on and generally just trying to hang out with them and to keep track of their roleplay.
Yeah, what guild was that?
Weaver. Like a weaver, like a person that weaves things. Weaver.
Oh, Weaver.
Cool.
Yeah,
okay.
That's the name of their guild.
I thought you were saying Weeber, like Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. I was like,
no, dear.
Those V's and those B's are really hard, even over.
They are.
Especially when speaking and you talk and you don't really, I was really only half listening to you anyway, so.
I know.
I just ask questions, and then, like our son, I ask a question, tune out so that I can ask it again. Anyway, so, Jazz, what have you been up to in roleplay? No, but is that... Seriously, that's so frustrating as hell. She just threw something at me.
This is a little piece of paper. Getting back on track.
Thank you. Sisters sticking together.
No, so how's that guild working out pretty well?
I like it so far. Yeah. I enjoy having another group of people that are very familiar with each other, but they are opening up to outsiders. So it's nice to be the outsider again, which is always fun for me because I have to get to know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I've also been working a lot on my characters, finalizing my two maxed out characters, getting them all of the points that they need and getting their achievements and things like that, which is busy work. And then I started a new character. So
because Jazz is now a hardcore raider. She is hardcore.
Really?
Hardcore. I was actually surprised.
I throw another piece of paper at him.
I got my Tarvala to 50 when I was just looking at it. I was like, wow, you're in like the 300s in ESO now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Just from the so long as I've known you, that you have a character that's so much higher than a lot of other people that you're in the same guild with. It just cracks me up.
I know, because I used to be, I think Baka was level 30 for when the max was like 60.
Yeah.
So
she was level 30 for 40 years, which is strange because the game's not even been out that long, and yet she managed.
Yeah.
But no, so is
does
that guild have like is it just general role play, or do they have like yours?
They're mercenaries. They're pretty
thing?
general. Yeah, which fits in well with the character that I primarily role play with, which is Ciel.
Yeah, your crazy
little Bosmer.
Crazy ass little Bosmer that just well, we'll go into that. We did a role play event and had to stop making her just lunge directly into battle a couple times. It's like bad guys appears.
That's what
She
yeah,
was
she
like,
just kind of flings herself at bad guys.
yeah,
and
she was
gets
like
whacked
Laura
away.
from Logan, just flying through the air, claws out.
Yeah, she has no self-preservation whatsoever. It makes her fun to play.
Yeah. So about you, Sib, what you been doing?
Nothing much. Little role play here. I'm just now getting able to get back into the game really a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Our son made the high school baseball team, so all the hard work is paid off, and now
Which
I
is
can get back to gaming.
Pretty good considering he's just going into 9th grade, so we're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's been consuming my life, sports, but
or sport.
no, I'm hoping to get back into the RP thing a lot more, because before my time was consumed by this, I was really enjoying just going to that little tavern in Rift and just meeting new people and talking to them, and just it was really a lot of fun, and I so miss it. So I'm hoping I can get back into that.
Oh, I'm sure you will. It's always there, and I know we've been trying to get you your helm and shoulders.
Oh yeah.
So
yes.
So you can be
hardcore.
Throwing something.
Sunday,
no, and I have
Sunday.
to say, it was so nice of Wolf to give me all that stuff. I was like shocked.
Yeah, well, we farm a lot, so it's a good thing.
They're a bunch of rating losers. So I write other role players, fist bump, boom, yeah.
In the crickets.
No, nobody. Leave me hang. Oh, okay. I'll put this down now.
Yeah, just put down.
All right. So, well, this actually includes the other two because we, as we said last time, I was gonna try, that one guild I have, Servants of the Temple in ESO. They've got a unique way of doing events that we three have never done before. Even Jazz and I, we've seen a lot of them, but this is an interesting way to do an event, especially with a game without like a in-game /roll. So I wanted to run a heist, and also for her guild, it's Alanu, right?
Alanu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always the second U always throws me off. I feel like it should be Alanu.
No, it's 2 N's and a U.
Oh well, I just misspelled it in the show notes. Well, that's funny enough. Spell check did not correct that one correctly.
Yeah.
But no, we did a heist for that guild because they're kind of a mercenary underground, like League of Assassins and Thieves and that kind of, passing information broker. Like an information broker is probably the best way to do it. But so a character who is a Morag Tong can't actually go out and just randomly kill people because that would get him in a lot of trouble and himself killed. So he basically bribed them to do it with to retrieve the item, and they can just keep what they found as their payment. So, and it went over pretty well. It took us a little while to get the hang of. Basically, when combat starts, everybody types it out in alphabetical order what they want to do. Like the first bit, there was I don't know how many guards, and 5 of them.
Yeah.
So, and then what I'd do is I'd write everybody's name down, and I would roll on my phone with a 20-sided dice, and I'd just put down what each person's number was, and as they did it, if it was 10 or above, it was a success, and then, of course, the higher up it went was the more successful it was, and 9 and down would be a failure, and some people will do that as, like, the character itself failed, like if, you're going to attack, then your sword falls out of your hand instead. But I prefer to make, you guys are, when you're role playing, you're the badasses, but that doesn't mean somebody else can't
make
be
mistakes.
You can make mistakes, but I like to do it even more that maybe somebody is a little bit more badass, at least in that moment. So like if you rolled, a 9 or below, the guard, instead of you fumbling your sword, the guard blocked and slashed, if you rolled a 1, he blocked and slashed back instead. So, and of course, if you rolled like a 20, then you could probably, it do more than damage than you would usually.
Yeah, I particularly liked when Cial charged at the mage and he just literally shot her out of the air like a bird, and she just dropped. Boom.
Yeah, that was just because you didn't do it alphabetical, and I wasn't ready for it. So I was like, all right, well, this will stop her from doing that real quick. That's what you get for rolling out of turn. That was me.
Yeah,
That
but
was
we were
me
still
putting my.
learning it at that point.
Yeah. Well, that was against the mage, who was the second fight, but we were still getting the hang of it. But it was still fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we had a blast.
Yeah, but it's a fun system because after everybody does their typing in alphabetical order, and then after that, of course, I know who does what, and then I will type out every reaction or response that ended up happening. If they're fighting guards, then it was what happened to that guard or what the guard did back to them, or in the case of the final boss, which was just a very strong Telvanni mage, which they were all fighting against. It was, it's kind of like those anime scenes where one guy's kicking everyone's butt and he's swirling them around, and one of our people tried to teleport behind him, but he rolled really low, so he just got, the guy sensed the magic behind him and just, had a bolt blast ready and just got him right in the chest with it, and so, but
awesome.
some injuries, like injury or role play, it can be a little daunting and get old, but when it happens like something against a good, basically boss, it's basically what he was, as a boss level guy. But yeah, they got what they were looking for and got their loot, and I think everyone had a good time, and I enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun to run.
Yeah, all of us said that it was a lot of fun. I didn't have any problem with it. I thought it was handled. I really liked the way that you did it. You kept track of everything and what each person did, and rolled for things and answered for things. I really had a good time. Yeah,
because the way we've done it before is we would do a roll for roll. Like if you attacked, you would roll attack, and I would roll the defense, and you could either do it as defense, or whoever just rolled higher, they would hit the other one. But when you've got a big group of, I think we had 6 people, not counting me.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good sized group, and when we do it with Servants of the Temple, they've actually had groups as large as double that, like 12 to 15, which is even more for one person to keep track of. But they seem to do a pretty good job, which is where the alphabetical order thing comes in. And it can, if somebody stops paying attention, you can take a little while because you're sitting there waiting for that to do. But a lot of people will start to type out what they're doing beforehand, so that as soon as the person before them alphabetically does it, you just slap enter and it goes through real quick. But no, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good practice run, and it's also good advice too, that when you're running an event, if somebody gives you credit for an amazing idea that you actually had no idea you thought of, just roll with it. Because so the reason I'm saying this was that I had already planned there to be a mage that would appear. However, this just happened to coincide, completely unknown to me, the second that one of the people touched the box that we were looking for. And everybody just assumed that it was magically encoded, that if it was disturbed, that he would be alarmed and that he would be able to teleport directly to it. That actually was just complete coincidence. I hadn't even thought of that. But it was such a good idea in the moment that I went ahead and let you guys think that I was just that smart. That was just dumbass
now the
blind
truth
luck.
comes out.
Yeah, it was just dumb luck. But, that's the great thing with roleplay, is a lot of stuff, especially when you're doing events or anything like that. When somebody comes up with an idea that you hadn't thought of, man, just roll with it. Go with it,
Yeah.
And if it happens to make you look a little smarter, I don't know.
Because that's what makes roleplay interesting.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So, all right. Well, we're going to, we didn't get a lot of responses from Facebook, but I did go ahead and ask what Sibh had asked last week, or no, I always want to say last week, 2 weeks ago, our last episode. Yeah. Last episode is probably a much better way. What music do you listen to while you roleplay? And I put it up over at the Elder Scrolls Online role-playing community, because that's obviously the one we're all role-playing in right now. And we actually got several responses that were pretty neat. I went ahead and went first, and for me, it's like tavern roleplay. I'll go pretty chill, or just orchestral music or gaming soundtracks or movies. But if something fast-paced like a combat thing, I want stuff with like, you know, rock riffs and guitars, you know, and I know it's cheesy, but I like the Amy Lee, Evanescence, and there's another gal, Dorothy, Nico Vega, things like that. I actually find myself more using Pandora radio stations, like, you know, with the band that just plays a loop of a lot of times songs I've never heard of, but in that style. That's what I always like to do.
That's me too. I have my Pandora that I just, whatever mood I'm in, I have like Mumford and Sons, Melanie Martinez, Meg Myers, Skylar Grey. Sometimes I do a little Michael Bublé. I mean, I'm really all over the thing. I don't really have like a favorite. It's just whatever kind of mood I'm in is what I want to listen to. And sometimes it depends on what kind of role play. But I do like Imagine Dragons too, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Mine really is just like all over the place. It just has whatever mood hits me. That's where I'm headed.
And that's some of the people here. They actually said that. And I will say, when I do Bargnar, which was my dwarf in EQ2, it was things like the Flogging Molly channel. And I actually got some songs that he sang on there, like the mermaid song, where the upper half of the mermaid was all great and good, but the bottom half was a fish. And what are you going to do with that?
And then he met her sister.
Met her sister, and that's how he gets me tail. Yar. Come here, fishy, fishy, fishy. But yeah, so another one here, 6, over at the Elder Scrolls Online role-playing community website, says she generally has a playlist per character or a playlist with a general theme, like downtime, tension, etc., etc. And most of the songs tend to be from soundtracks, TV, film, video games, and might have a bit of an ambient track from an artist in there, but she generally likes to avoid lyrics and heavy and anachronisms. She's way smarter than I do. I don't even know if that's a word. She's just making stuff up for stuff that she uses in roleplay. And of course, for ESO, you know, music from Elder Scrolls and Dragon Age and things like The Witcher, which is I love the Witcher soundtrack. I've actually got, I think, all 3 of them. The third one is definitely my favorite, but they're all really, really, really solid soundtracks to listen to for fantasy MMOs.
Which I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I can totally see that.
Yeah, something chill and yeah. There's some of them are not soundtracks you want to play when you're role playing and you're kind of getting a little sleepy. Like
I have a visitor.
Another one here, Lemon Sugar. She actually, I assume because that's what the photo looks like. I think that, or it's a feminine high elf that's a dude. But anyway, Lemon Sugar. He, she. They actually put up 2 different things. One of them is 1 hour of. I can't play anything, unfortunately, on the podcast because I don't have the rights to those, and I don't want to get our thing flagged. But I can tell you about it. But it's if you probably went to YouTube and did 1 hour of which fantasy music. Excuse me, just burp right in your ear. 1 hour of which fantasy music. Yeah. I actually listened to some of it. It's pretty cool. It's like a very mellow, haunting sort of track on there. It's just, you know, just an hour loop of a whole different variety of songs in that genre. Let's see. She says it's from most nights whether I choose to roleplay or to adventure out and do PvE. I almost always have music on the background by the composer Peter Gundry. It's atmospheric, enthralling, and really, really well done. And I having listened to that one, and the other is 2 hours of Celtic music. I have to agree, the Peter Gundry guy, he actually is very solid. It's a lot of really good stuff if you're out there looking for something. So that's 2 hours of Celtic music and 1 hour of witch fantasy music, both of which you could just YouTube and be able to find them. One has a white chick with black clothes and a hawk, and the other one has a white-haired chick with an owl on her shoulder. That's how you know you got the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I'd love to be able to play it, but it's learning to do a podcast. It turns out, it's so stupid.
Somebody, what is it? Mr. Graves put cheesy love songs.
Yeah, I thought that one was great. And it was Alex Ryback. I came to love you was what they posted up. Yeah.
Jazz, you didn't get to answer the question.
I really don't. I know I'm weird here. I don't listen to music. I have my headset on all the time, even when I don't listen to anything, because it dulls the outside noise and I can focus. So I usually have the sound on in the game so I can hear some things, like the sounds of the fighting. I don't have the music on. I have it all shut off. I know it's sacrilege, but I don't like to listen to music because when I listen to music, unless I'm writing, I am so into it I can't accomplish anything else. So
that makes sense.
I'm one of those weird ADD people.
Mhm.
I can't focus. It's like when I study, the only thing I can ever have on is like classical or jazz. I can't have anything on with words, or I stop whatever I'm doing and listen to the music. So yes, I can actually listen to techno,
right.
but I need to be able to hear my kids fighting so they don't kill each other. So I normally don't have music on because I'm sort of.
She has boys, that's why. If it was girls,
boys.
If it was girls, she would have to be there listening for silence, because that's when bad things were happening. With boys, at least we just get loud, and usually someone starts crying.
Fight, start throwing things, or
boys. But and Circe here says that a lot of my fantasy MMO soundtrack is by Delirium, who I'm unfortunately not familiar with, but I'll have to look up after the show.
Very cool. I love all that stuff, and I have it on my computer, but I don't listen to it when I play games.
Yeah, and let's see, was there...
There was a Bruce Springsteen.
Somebody said Anachronism or whatever that was. I have them. I have a couple of their songs on.
Yeah. But just a lot of, it's funny because there's one guy, he's got Bruce Springsteen stuff, something called Ferran Ensemble, Fata Morgan, which by the look of it is probably orchestral. I can't tell. I don't remember everything I clicked on. And I'm kind of with Jazz too, because there's sometimes I just want to role play and I don't have music on at all, and there's other times I'm like, I need music for this. It's just one of those up in the air kind of things.
Sometimes it gets so bad I have to shut off the flute or
oh my god,
music.
Red Diamond.
What, you guys don't like that song? I mean, really, it's the hip hop song in ESO.
It doesn't stay on, period. I have to shut it off. If it's like a flute or the lute, I can handle it, especially since they updated it.
Yeah.
With some of the new songs, there's at least a more variety now, so I can somehow do something with my brain. But before it was like 3 songs.
Yeah.
And I could not parse.
Well, and the thing that gets me too is, at least in ESO, is the female vocalist, especially in the new area in Vardenfell, they're actually really good, and they're never used. It's like, why are you using all these drunken Nord dudes that are like, Red Damon. Use the pretty sounding chick voice that you paid money for that. Use it. Just because Uncle Fester in your office thinks he's really good at songs, you need to bring in your Simon Cowell. That was awful. You are like listening to a bag of cats being smashed together by a hammer. It's awful. Just get off the stage. What are you even doing here? Who let him in?
I got him watching, what is that, America's Got Talent.
Yeah. Oh, I've always liked Simon Cowell though. I've liked him since the other one he did. America's not what's
American Idol.
American Idol.
Yeah.
I loved him in that. I even like him in the British American shows. That makes sense, right? British American shows.
Yes.
True.
You know what I mean? Whatever the hell he calls the shows, the same thing, but they're in Britain. Excuse me, Britannia. But anyway, yeah. So that's it. I know it's been a rough night. Sleeping. I was sleeping like half hour before this thing started. With my wife. Don't tell Sib. But yeah, it's quite a variety of different outlooks. Some of them I'm not too surprised on, like the fantasy witch and the Celtic music especially. I'm like, that makes sense because I've done that as well. It's very, very nice, especially in a fantasy setting. But I want to appreciate everybody over there at the Elder Scrolls Online role-playing community that chimed in. That was cool. I'd love a lot more to hear from you guys out there listening to it. Get off your lazy butts. Help us out. Come on. We want to hear from you. I won't berate you. How's this? I won't berate you if you actually like interact with us. If you don't, then I'm just gonna make fun of you.
They're probably scared of you. That's probably why they don't say nothing.
Oh, I'm harmless. I'll kill you all in your sleep. But nope, that was a good idea, Sib, to ask a question like that. Another one we'll have to find out too is what is everyone's. I actually asked it in one over at RPHQ. It's not .com, it's .org, rphq.org.
Yes.
How's it going, Human Floyd? About people's favorite MMO to roleplay in, and it looks like it's a cross. I haven't got too many responses yet, but it was definitely Star Wars Galaxies and Star Wars The Old Republic were definitely two that seemed to be popping out, which Galaxies was definitely up there for me. It just would have, unfortunately, because of the way it ended, I was so ticked off, it kind of spoils the rest of that.
That's one I never did.
Yeah,
I never got to play that one.
That was before your time, and now there's a few emulator servers out there, but those are never the same. So, but all right. Well, let's see. Before we go into our main topic, which will be how detailed should you be while role playing and when you type things out. Sorry. I usually have to clear my throat, but I actually have something caught in it this time. We have a word from our sponsors. It was a dark and stormy night. One of those cliche nights that force people inside and make you relive memories of past nights, just like this one. Smoke curled lazily in a thin gray cloud from the cigarette as I pulled my collar up against the rain, looking for refuge and perhaps, just perhaps, something else on this night, like any other night. I found refuge in a small pub. It was a dingy little place that smelled of cheap booze, cheaper women, and forgotten dreams. The kind of dreams shed like so much falling rain off the shingles outside, swept down the gutters and into the sewers of life. I removed my hat, beat up but well-worn fedora, and that's when it happens. I see her from across the room. A tall drink of water with a figure that women would die for and men would... well, men would kill for. She wore a tight dress that left nothing to the imagination, broken men in her wake. Her legs were like that of what Greeks once strove to carve out of marble and save for all time. I lean on the bar, a smoldering spark in both our eyes, and I nod my head and ask her, "Evening, darling. Mind if I buy you a drink?" Red lips puckered around a lipstick-stained cigarette, tapped ashes falling into the ashtray below. Her voice like honeysuckle in velvet, she uttered, "OMG, LOLK." This segment brought to you by /logout for those moments you mistake a troll for a role player.
Been there.
Yep. So, and with that, how much detail is too much detail when you're role playing?
As we've just been given an amazing example.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to do our advertisements more in line with our topics, which, if I had thought even 2 seconds from the beginning, would have made a lot more sense. But we'll be doing that from episode 10 here on. So, but yeah, so there's a lot of different things when you role play, because we all see it. There's nights, and some of it's moods, and some of it definitely is location dependent, like with the number of people around, or if it's one-on-one. How much is too much detail, and how little is too little detail? When is something like Sean Connery Beauregard, or whatever the hell voice that was I was just doing, trying to hold on to one.
Really kind of a nice Sean Connery. I was impressed.
Well,
yeah.
Appreciate it.
Let's not get him going on his Sean Connery.
No, that right there was enough, because I'll end up saying, "OMG, LOLK."
That was awesome.
That was jarring. It was so good.
I apologize to all women out there. I actually think a lot higher of you, but let's be honest, that's how some roleplay is gone. But you know, when you there's people I've seen when they role play, and I'm a very I like to actually put a lot of detail in my role play, like especially with combat and things like that. You know, I'll describe maybe even what some of the thoughts are that the person's going through, not like and she thinks, oh my god, this guy's a total asshole, because nobody can respond to that, but maybe give some of the motivation behind what they're doing.
Or a facial expression. I mean, you can say she looks like she ate something bad, or whatever. I mean, you can give expressions that give people the idea of what maybe they're thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And and when I do it through like the emotional state of a person, like, you know, they're seething with anger and, you know, burning with rage or whatever. Stuff like that also tends to, you know, it would also be another form of facial expression and body expression, because obviously if you're going to put that in there, it's going to have to be a physical thing, unless you say it looks completely normal on the outside, but in the inside, they're a boiling torrent of little angry babies or something.
And some people will get onto you if you say what your character's thinking.
Which is another thing. Yeah, I didn't actually put that on here, but I had forgot to. That's another good thing. I've gotten in trouble for that as well.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
Steve, I always tell them, and I don't usually back down from it, if you put out that of what that person is thinking, I have the right at that point to assume it's either written on your face, or of course in a magical world, I could be a mind reader.
If you're a telepath,
there could be a ghost standing behind you, and that ghost told me what you were thinking.
But no, and that's
absolutely hate it. It's one of my pet peeves. So I may just comment on it just because I want them to say, "Hey, you can't read my thoughts. Hey, don't put them out in the open." Then
right, and actually, in knowing that, it's actually why in some of my characters, I've actually put what they're thinking, knowing that her character actually would be able to hear that. That was the moment when he would basically open up and be like, okay, you know what I'm thinking, you know, and she would always do this little grin or something like that. But I've had people get really, when you go into, I've had people get upset if you don't do enough detail, you know, because it is kind of an insult, you know, somebody's really putting their heart and soul out there for you, and, you know, and there can be too long. We'll go into that in a sec. And then you get a, you know, nods. Okay. Like,
okay,
really,
I
wrote a paragraph, and it's even worse when it's like one or two, or like if you're role playing with one person, you're very lonely. You should probably go outside. But if it's just two or three, I don't know why I almost said one person. If it's one person, if it's
I've seen people role play with themselves.
Yeah, you're one of them, you weirdo.
Hey, at least they were another character. I'm talking about someone no one else can see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, there's nothing wrong if you've got two characters.
We all see the other character, Jazz. Wink, wink.
I would do that all the time. I had 2 accounts, and I had 2 different characters, and I would RP them in guild chat to get guild chat going. So I would have the 2 of them talk to each other. So I was essentially playing with myself. So it was a lot of fun because they'd be like, having fun there, Jazz? Yes, actually.
Typically, it was me, too. Is like, you realize you're fighting with yourself, right? But no.
Glimpse into my world.
When you're 2 or 3 people... when it's just 2 or 3 people, you know, and that is definitely a time where probably more is better. You know, you're probably among friends, or you're just meeting somebody. It doesn't hurt to try to impress. And I know for some people too, the length of their post and the amount of detail, they have it in their head, but some people are shy. You know, it's basically you know, like, it's like trying to write a book or a story and then having someone read it. As you know, I know I was, and I'm sure Jazz was ages ago when we started this, but I know Sibh for a fact, far more recently, I had to definitely encourage her a lot when she would write a story to just go ahead and post it. No one's going to be, you know, people aren't going to be like,
forever to want to post. Because I was nervous. I was like, okay, nobody's going to like it.
Right.
And then I got to the point where it's like, I like it, so
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's when it comes to role play. If you're comfortable with the level of detail you're putting out there, man, go for it. That's definitely it. But do keep in mind there are certain situations where that's a good thing and where that might actually just get you not read at all. For example, I said 2 to 3 people. That's a great place for a lot of detail. Go in with the like leaning on the counter, tapping the countertop, or wiggling your foot, or that kind of stuff. But when you're in a huge group and it's a wall of text, probably not the place to do long-winded, super detailed things. Basically you want to get the information out there of what you're doing, because you have to of course you want people to interact with you. But if you do a paragraph, like a 3-sentence paragraph worth of what your character's doing right then and there, and there's already 15 other people there doing that in this, I know most games you can really make that chat window nice and big, but even then, the amount of time it takes to read through that one person's thing, people might just skip over it unless they're directly involved with you, because it's just too much to read while they're trying to keep up with the conversations right in front of them or right around them. Does that kind of make sense? Am I right on that one?
I mean, I read very, very fast and I type very, very fast. And I'm also not the most patient person in the world. I know, shock, right?
Shut up and hurry up and get to the point.
But I know a lot of people who do not read very fast. And so you post, and this happens all the time, particularly in ESO, by the way, they put 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs before they're done talking.
Right.
With their little plus sign, and you have to wait. And God help you if you speak before they're done typing.
Right. OMG, I'm still typing.
Yeah, and then I'm like, OMG, type faster or type less.
Yeah.
I will say, the typing used to get me. That's why you would get a 1-word response from me for a long time, is because I was not a fast typer. Over the years I've been doing this, I've got faster. So
it is
was
a learned
hard.
skill, definitely.
Yeah, unless you.
And it's also important to know that it's okay if you go slow. If you tell people I don't type fast, so that if you're in any kind of a role play situation, they know to be patient.
Yeah, and that's what I would do.
But also, you're not going to type 3 paragraphs. You're going to try to make it as concise as possible, because you don't type very fast.
Yeah.
Please God, I love you for that reason. Because if you can't type fast, be concise.
Right, type to your weaknesses or your strength.
Right,
basically.
Don't try to type 3 paragraphs if you type 3 words a minute, please.
Yeah.
Because I was always, it would make me nervous, because I'm like, okay, I don't have time to type, and then of course I didn't, because I was so slow. People would already be talking about something else. I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to comment.
But it's okay. I mean, it's important. That is where my impatience can be bad, because there are people like you that are new or new to typing fast. They don't type very fast. And so then they won't comment because people have left them behind. But I've noticed here that's not as much of an issue. People still post even if they're 3 paragraphs behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I really think that that's important to do,
Which is
because your
good.
character has a right to be heard, even if you do type slow.
Right. Well, and I know another things that cause that too, and this is especially, and this is why I say this for large gatherings. Not everybody reads at the same speed. Just like typing.
Let alone typing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a fairly proficient reader, and Jazz I think is probably, and she's faster at it than I am. But it's and I know I've been doing this for so long. I've kind of acclimated to that wall of text, just as Jazz has, and Sibh is getting way better at it too. But even even that, all 3 of us, there's times where it is just like, I don't know how anybody is getting anything done here at all. You literally just you've got to if there's that many people and people are typing like crazy, you've basically just I've just focused completely. If I'm talking to 2 other people in the room, those are the only 2 names I can read their stuff on, because if I start reading anything else, I'm going to miss the emote or the say that the people I'm actually talking to are doing, and it scrolls so fast. We've been in those events where there's 20 or 30 people there, and they can be super fun, but they can also they can really stress people out.
Yes.
There's been sometimes, a lot of times, Sibh and myself as well, when we're in those situations, and it's just like you after a while you're like you're there, but you find yourself like alt tabbed out or looking, if you have a second window, like looking at funny dog videos on YouTube, because you've basically you're mentally checked out of the role play at that point because you just cannot keep up.
And what I tell people to do in those situations is to scroll up a little bit so that the scroll is no longer affecting you, and then read at your own pace. Yeah. So that you're not getting swallowed by the text. You don't get frustrated, so you don't get checked out.
Yeah, what game was that? There was one...
Guild Wars was awful because it was all gray.
Yeah, Guild Wars chat. Yeah, in some chat windows, I know ESO. There's a few add-ons that P-chat. If you're in ESO and you're not using P-chat, you're screwing yourself because it definitely helps keep it from fading. But also, there was
a add-on for ESO that when we first came back, the window wouldn't get any bigger.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I can't keep up because the chat window's like tiny.
It's like a 2x3 inch square.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't make it any bigger. And luckily, Ashen found me a add-on.
P-chat.
Yeah, and I was like, okay.
What does it do? I don't have it.
Oh, P-chat. I'd have to. Excuse me. I'd have to look it up here. But yeah, it basically it gives you a ton more options on everything that you can do.
Well, my favorite was the fact that I could open the chat bubble or chat window up like whole half of my screen, because the more I can see, the better off I am, because I will miss stuff if I can't like have a huge chat window when I'm RPing.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to bring that up here and see what I can find. Come on, little minion. Come on, little minion.
Where are we at on our...
I don't know. We're somewhere in here, but but like
actually.
Yeah, we kind of went off on our own tangent, and it just goes naturally, which is perfectly fine. Golly, I'm sorry, guys. I apologize for having to constantly clear my throat tonight.
You've got water.
I do. I have water and a beer, but I've just got like gunk in my throat.
We're gonna blame the beer.
The beer.
It's the beer's fault.
But the beers. But no. So back to what we were talking about. When it comes to some people, let's see, some people don't also. Yeah. When you're doing it, some people, when you're role playing with somebody, you got to give enough for the when you're bouncing off of people. That's basically what you're co-writing. You've got to give them enough. So a slash, while a slash nod might be good, while somebody's like, I would say droning on, but I don't mean droning on. While they're monologuing, a slash nod here and there, or a slash nods interestingly, or lets them know that you're still paying attention, and that's a perfectly acceptable thing to do. Sometimes it's out of shyness, but if you're not doing that, it could just be they're not paying attention. You've lost your audience, so to speak. And whereas others act like they're friggin' J.R.R. Martin.
Yes.
And go into every little detail like that, like our commercial there. But also the problem with writing like J.R.R. Martin is it takes you almost as long to publish something.
Ouch.
Almost.
But that's whenever I go into detail, it's usually like when I walk into a tavern and I want to maybe get some RP, and so I may be pretty descriptive, like how I walk into the tavern or what I'm doing once I get there, and then in hopes that I do get some RP, from it.
Yeah, and part of that too is just reading, like a lot of there's definitely a difference between the level of chat scroll in a tavern role play versus an event. An event, people are really they're there and they're focused. They're they're doing something specific, so it tends to go a lot faster. I have noticed even in that place in Rift, it's a tavern and there could be a dozen people there, but because it's a tavern, they're also kind of chilled out. Some people are kind of half there, half not. or they're waiting for something to interact with. So when it's not scrolling like crazy, and when there's a bar fight or something, obviously then everybody's, up in arms and going at it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely when you first, saunter into a bar luxuriously, or whatever it is you female folk do. I don't know. I just go in there, slam down the fist, and be like, "Give me some beer. I want a booby."
Really?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Men talk. That's what? That's how men talk. Bring me a booby.
Dude.
You're
And
going there with
booze.
that. I thought you were going to say a beer. Bring me a beer.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you never know
Tangent.
when I'm going to zig or zag.
That is the truth.
Totally missed that one.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of a lot of it is situational, and really some of it you can kind of get a feel for it. A lot of it is you also just learn with experience. Like a lot of role play, it takes confidence. It is putting yourself out there. I know for a lot of people, especially when you're new, and I say new, and that's still basically that's still like the first year or two of you role playing. You're,
Yeah.
No
Sometimes
offense to
longer,
anybody out there
depending on
role
how much
playing
you
in
know.
MMOs, but if you're only a year or two in, you're still fairly new, and you've still,
Yeah.
especially if you're just limited to one game still so far, there's still a lot out there that you've not experienced. I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for I don't know how long, and that system that we used for our event, that was totally new to me. I'd never thought of doing it that way with the alphabetical and then responding in 2 or 3 paragraphs, for a combat situation.
Well,
So there's
in fairness,
always new ways of coming up with stuff.
that's really just kind of a hybrid of the D&D model.
It is.
And
But
I think I've
worked.
seen it before in D&D and LARP and a couple other things. I don't think people were as receptive to it. And D&D has made a comeback. And I think that's why we're seeing more. And, I'm old. So I've been
You
to the
said it, not
D&D
me.
and back and to the D and back. And so it went away
Jazz
for a
remembers
while.
when D&D used to be part of the devil.
Yeah, believe me, I do, because that's what my mother believed. Anyway,
She was right. Hashtag mom was right.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
Oh, now he's not.
Did I
gonna
gag you now?
Oh gosh. Okay.
We're taking over the show. The
Yep.
women, the ladies,
Ladies.
are taking over the show.
Well, make your point. God, stop talking. I stopped talking, and it's
He's addictive. I'm sorry, Jazz. I apologize.
I can't stop laughing. Okay, the point is that there's a lot of young people between the ages of 15 and 25 who have just started playing D&D. And so they're bringing D&D into the role play, which we have not seen for a long time because a lot of people stopped using it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we see here with the whole. Because I remember Pallid Mortis. Remember him? He used to
I remember him.
do that. We'd all roll, and we'd all say what we're going to do, and then he would let us know how it ended. He would tell us this is what happened, and this is so. He was kind of doing that same thing, but so when I first started seeing it, I was like, oh, this is kind of what he's doing without the rolls, though, because there's no rolls in game. So he's basically the
DM.
The DM, and he's the one that's doing all the rolls and deciding who does what, and that's actually more efficient.
Yeah, especially when you're writing, especially when an event has multiple.
Yeah, when you're
characters.
looking at having 15 people, that is incredibly efficient, and I would never have thought of that, and I'm really glad that it's kind of made a comeback.
Yeah, and I've watched it, so and some people are. It's so far everybody in the service that's done it, they all do a really good job of it. I unfortunately they're not my children, so I definitely have people that I think are better at it than others.
Yeah,
but they're all proficient at it at the very least. And some of them, it's funny enough, just to go straight with this topic, when it comes to that event structure, some of them are super detailed, and you can really imagine the fight almost taking place like a fucking Jackie Chan movie, when he's going against the 15 guys, and he's putting rope around one, or wrapping some guy's jacket around his head and flipping him over into another guy, and then bouncing off of that guy into, a roundhouse kick on another guy, which sends that guy flying into 2 other guys. you know, when you have that kind of control doing it all at once because everyone's already done their moves, you can play off of them, which is something I always like doing.
I think it really builds on the storytelling aspect.
It does.
I think I really
and you can really go. And then there's other people that they're through either through a combination of maybe reading and their ability and typing speed, they have to be far more concise, which is perfectly fine. That's okay to do that because if you're for one, you're running an event. Kudos to you in the first case. You know, if you ever run an event, you're already heads and tails above, you know, in doing above and beyond the Call of Duty for your guild and people role playing with you, because that's it. They are stressful and they are, you know, people really put a lot of thought into them and they can be very, very stressful to do. So good for you for doing that. But, you know, and when you've got 15, 20, you know, or 12, 15 people there, if, you know, all the people that failed their roles and you just need to see so and so, you know, attack goes wide, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have time or you don't have the sometimes you can, you know, even brain lock. You know, there's definitely been times I'm in the middle of a role play and I'm like, and my character, well, no, that doesn't make sense. Okay, what if they did that? No, that's just stupid. No, you know, and you kind of get locked in your own head, like, oh my god, I don't know what for them to do next. So, you know, throw a mulligan out there. There's nothing wrong with that, and it was still fun roleplay even when it was done that way. It was still an interesting, because you're not there just for the combat. Obviously, you're there to find out the story, which is what most you know, like non-taverny or in city things, most exploration, I'll say, events go for. So a little more detail is always, you know, is always better. But if you're not able to keep up with that, definitely, you know, scale it down a notch. There's no problem with that. Let's see. We got here. Basically, yeah. In like, what kind of, so when it comes to sorry guys, I'm tired. It's hot here. Although we got a relief with some of the rain today, but how much what kind of details do you guys like to see when it comes to roleplay in other, both in yourself and from other people? Like, what has really stood out as like, that's interesting, you know, the things that people should focus on when role playing with each other.
Well, I think it's fine to talk about, don't get caught up, especially if you're in an event. If you're in an event, don't get caught up in explaining about you, because this isn't about you. This is about the event. And so you really should only be posting things like how your character looks or feels about that event and leave it at that. Whereas, you know, I've had characters that when we've had events, for example, who just wax on and on about how their character is struggling with some story that they're working on, and they want to fold their story into your story. And so they're going into great detail about how they're feeling about what has happened yesterday, or because they want you to ask it about it. So they'll say, scratches his bruises and fidgets and wipes the blood off his cheek.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, why are you coming to a party with blood on your cheek? Fucking wash that off before you get in there.
It's like, what? And then they're mad if you just ignore it because you know what they're doing. So
I will admit I've definitely ignored people that there's certain signs where you're just clearly trying to like get the attention, but you know, it's like a huge thing and we're here for, I don't know, like it's a song and dance thing. And while I hate those, I'd be like, we're really supposed to be watching the dancers over there, not, you know, mending your bruises because you don't know how to block.
Yeah, or couldn't see a healer in a magical world before you came. Yeah,
I think I've actually said that to someone that came. They were bloodied and bruised and came to one of those dancing. It's like, what happened to you? Forget how to duck?
Oh gosh.
No, I was attacked by a crow. Whatever. I don't know. Raven crow, not a Hogwarts guild house. Whatever.
But yeah, I agree with Jess, because you really should like comment on how you're feeling, or you know, what you're excited about that event, why you're there, who invited you.
Talk to the people there that you're there, like that, about the topic that thing is there for.
Yeah.
Like they it was like a slave auction thing that was going on in ESO that where they were, I mean, well, rent, because technically, lore wise, because of Zos, I guess you can't actually. Technically, slaves are right now not allowed, but most
So
people.
you're renting a slave?
Yeah, like only one house supposedly is actually doing this actual slave procurement stuff in this time period because of the pact and stuff like that, which a lot of people do kind of ignore. But that is beside the point of just silly things that some companies do with their putting. As one of the people in our guild was when they were going through the Morrowind thing, is stop putting modern day morals and things like that into a fantasy realm that already has all these horrible things in it. It doesn't make it less noticeable. But when you go to something like a slave auction or a bake sale, you gotta focus on why you're there. You don't bring all your baggage is always there with your character, but you don't have to bring it out. You don't have to dump your garbage on someone's lawn every time they come around. Yeah, I guess to put an analogy to it, keep that stuff bagged up and just enjoy the event. Let the people run. It's also kind of I guess it's kind of more turning into something about running events, which running events will be its own thing eventually. But a lot of this stuff when comes into play. But when someone does an event and you start you don't want to be there to hijack it. You want to participate, not hijack it.
Yeah.
Participate in the event, but but like in taverns, it's different. But at the same time, it isn't different, because it's okay to try to fold your story in.
Right, at least with a tavern, especially one that's out in the world, nobody's running that. That's just a location that exists.
Right, but it still gets very irritating when you're throwing in all these facts that nobody knows anything about, and then when they're like, what? You're like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to share your story, don't share the details. Because you're basically just going, neener, I have RP, you don't. And that can really upset people, or at least bother them.
It'd be frustrating, because they try to then interact with you, and then you clam up. It's like, well,
right.
You clearly wanted me to
dangling it, and you're not really doing anything about it.
You clearly held the carrot out for me. Quit yanking it out from underneath me there, Lucy. This is Charlie Brown.
I mean, and it's like, one of my pet peeves is that when you have details, and sometimes details are necessary, particularly in events, to hit the enter key, for the love of God, and break it up, rather than 3 long paragraphs. Break it up so it makes some sense. Mm-hmm. And when you're in a tavern, don't expect the whole tavern to pause and wait for you to type 3 paragraphs of information. And I get it if that's what you do, because you want to get all your details out there, but don't be pissed when people don't wait for you.
Yeah, or don't respond, or don't want to be.
Yeah, because if your soliloquy meant nothing to them in a tavern, let's be honest, there's always some drunk waxing on about shit you don't want to hear about. And you don't respond to the drunk, you ignore it, and you keep talking about whatever it is you're talking about.
Hey, I can hear you.
So it's important to remember that this is a tavern, and much like bars in the real world, keep in mind that while you are free to express yourself any way you want, the world's not sitting there waiting for you. You are not, Lucy Lovelace here. You are somebody that nobody really knows, or few people know, and nobody's going to hang on your every word waiting for you to post. So keep it concise. Remember, you're dealing with a big audience, and only post relevant details that you want people to know.
Yeah. And seriously, in the chat, when someone else runs an event that is not your audience, don't waste all the work they put into planning this event by deciding it's time to show how messed up your character is. And that is exactly true.
Don't hijack people's events.
1,000%. Oh my God. Yes, that is so frustrating when people do that.
And that's why we like Circe.
Yes.
But no, we actually
when is she going to be a guest here?
I don't know. We have to have her on sometime, because often as she's on here, I'm sure we might have to. I know we're going to do we're actually going to do a live thing with the 3 of us all trying out from the same point and grouping up. Yes, you're loved. In the Elder Scrolls Online, because it's free and we don't have to spend money to do it. Yay.
Wait a minute, no. It was the Secret World, right?
The Secret. What did I say?
Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, Jesus. This is
I
why
swear
I don't
that's what you
multitask.
said.
Yeah,
I was
you're
like, did I
probably
hear him
right.
correctly? Wait a minute.
The Secret World Legends is what I meant to
Yes, which
say.
I mean, we're all in now. We're just waiting for time to play
Yeah,
together.
we just we'll probably do it next week or sometime in this coming week, and we'll do that live here on Twitch, and just kind of give our opinions of it, see what we think of the game itself and all that stuff. But yeah, we might have to have see about Cersei, because I know she's played that. She'd had mixed feelings about it, and I have a feeling from what we've played through the tutorial, at least so that we could all get to the same spot where we will be at. I already do too. It's definitely I can see why they had to revamp it, but it didn't. There's only so much you can do with an aged product like that. Mixed,
and
yes.
I'm gonna hold my opinions until
till we actually get till we hit an actual zone and we're out of the training thing.
Yeah, because I don't know.
No, you can't base a game fully on the tutorial itself.
I don't know.
But you can't base it, but it starts to give you a good direction to head.
Yes, it does. That's true.
Do you feel like
That's
being
fair
descriptive,
enough.
Jazz?
Yeah.
You can go into detail on this one.
Yes.
Yeah. How about that boob slider that you like so much, Jazz? Was that? Yeah.
I didn't have one.
That's right. You were really ticked.
And I was really angry about that, because if I wanted boobs as big as my character's head, I would give her them. I don't like that. Very irritating. And I complained to this guy, and he's like,
that was a
I'm
problem?
not seeing a problem.
Yeah, I don't
What's the big
understand.
deal? Yeah.
I mean, I understand that's a thing, but
Did I miss it? They don't even have.
There's not a body slider.
Yeah, I was going to say
At
there's
all.
not even any body.
No, there's no
details.
sliders at all. You just kind of have to pick between several choices.
Yeah.
I like
I was
the
really
Roman
disappointed.
numerals. I do remember
I'll
those.
take famous titties for $500.
Oh, dear God.
That's famous
Oh, God,
titles.
Here we go. Yes.
Here we go.
Dolly Parton. Back when SNL
Dolly
was
Parton
funny.
was the only choice we had.
Yeah. Oh, I've got
Pretty
a lovely
much.
bunch of coconuts, diddly dee. Because if you made a female character, that's all you're getting in the Secret World Legends. But
You can't stop
I
him.
should have made a guy, because at this point I'm just irritated when I look at my character.
yeah. Although I will say, facial, the hair I picked, I thought it would be all right. I feel like I'm Ashton Kutcher's character on that '70s show, though. When I look at it now, it's all feathered out and ridiculous looking.
I feel like on my character, I have resting bitch face constantly.
Yes,
Yeah.
so does mine,
Yeah.
because that was the only one I could stand. But
Yeah.
But that's why we're gonna play through it. It's probably not gonna be the most friendly review. The Elder Scrolls, or Jesus Christ, son of a bitch! I don't know what's wrong with me. But it's not probably be the most friendly review the Secret World has ever had.
I have another beer, baby.
Yeah, I've had.
I know it's your baby and you like it,
I've
but yeah.
had half of one. Yeah, it'll be fun and interesting to play through. I definitely have Elder Scrolls on the brain.
I think my big problem with that one was the fact that it's set in real time, or and I want to play fantasy games because I don't want to be in real time.
Yeah. Well, I like the premise of it. I would like it, but it has to be done well, and that's the problem. Is it's not done exceptionally well. Like even Matrix Online. Like, it actually worked out fairly well the way they did it. The technology at the time wasn't nearly up to snuff with what they wanted to do, I think. But, again, that worked as well because even though it was in the real world, it was the Matrix, which wasn't actually a real world.
Well, and that's another one I didn't get to play.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to...
Yeah. I like what Cersei says. I feel basing an opinion on the tutorial is like when a movie director complaining, don't pay attention to the trailer, the movie is much better. that was your one and only chance to draw people in was the trailer, and if you fucked that up, then yeah, that's that. See, I guess you can base it slightly on the, like I said, trailer's definitely the way to go. Which why this weekend I want to go see Spider-Man. Good trailer, good reviews. So, but yeah, getting off topic here, but yeah, look forward to us doing the Elder Scrolls Online, or not, Jesus.
Again.
It's because
we
they
need
both
like
have
a
an
buzzer or
S.
something, or like a little bell. Ding,
God.
ding.
I need a nap and a drink. I need a drink nap. I'm a big boy. Doesn't help. My eyes were driving me crazy for some reason. I got allergy thing driving me nuts as we were doing this longer and longer. And I can only think of one thing at a time. And you guys brought up boobs, and from there on, I'm not thinking of anything else.
That's the problem. Yeah. That was the problem. That's where we lost the
four-letter word. But so it's really is it's one of those things. You know, details are always definitely a good thing to do. You kind of have to be situational of it. When it comes to being detailed, you know, if like the ideas come to your head. Thanks, Circe. If the ideas come to your head, you know, don't be shy. Don't be afraid to put those details out there, especially if you're like in one-on-one role play. You know, people like that stuff. You know, if you're not the fastest typer in the world, maybe let them know that in advance, because I know I personally, and I'm sure the other two will agree, when you're told up front that I'm not a slow typer, like, your expectations, you slow down to match that expectation. I'm perfectly okay waiting for a good detailed post as long as I know that that's what you're doing, because unfortunately these days with people's attention spans, a lot of times when somebody, especially if I don't know them, are taking a long time to make their post,
they've gone with it or walked away,
they are looking at another screen, or they're paying attention to their phone, that they're not giving you what you're giving, which should be, you know, is your full attention. And I'll admit there's times when I do that too. I'll look at another screen. Well, if it's, especially when it's a big role play in a room, or if someone's taking a little while to type, you know, and I'll do that. And no, it's something I've definitely tried to tone down a little bit more. But I also have another computer monitor, so now I can see both screens at once. So, But you know, but just definitely try to type to your comfort level and to your speed level. You know, and don't try to match your length and description of roleplay, you know, to other people that maybe have been doing this 5 times, 6 times as long as you have, because they've got a lot more experience. And with a lot of things, roleplay included, the more experience you have, the better and more comfortable you are. Yeah, if you've only been doing it for a year or two, you're still fairly new, and compared to someone that's been doing it now since, you know, EQ1, and, you know, back in 1999.
And what's funny to me is I've been doing this about 6 years now, and I still feel like I'm fairly new to it, because I think it's only been maybe 3 years that I've actually been comfortable with it. Right. Because I know those first 3 years were just a wash.
Yeah, you were a nervous wreck all the time.
Yeah, your hands sweaty and everything, and I'd be like, it'd be awful.
She'd always worry, you know, and she'd worry to the point of actually breaking out into sweat about being rude, or, you know, not being like in character rude, but being rude by missing someone's tell or say or emote and then not responding. And then of course when that happens, the person's left sitting there twiddling their thumbs wait for you. But she would, and I don't think you're alone. I think a lot of people definitely get the cold sweats when it comes to that, so to speak. But yeah, just it's one of those things. You just kind of gotta go with the flow. Don't compare yourself to other people all the time. Honestly, that's probably good advice just for most things, not to compare yourself to other people. It never ends well, because you're always going to be better than some people, and there's always going to be somebody that's better than you at it, you know.
Always,
I mean, not me, but for the rest of you guys, there's always somebody better, you know, like me. I'm terrible.
For some reason I knew that was coming there.
Well, yeah, it was an obvious joke, so I had to take it. So, couple show notes here. We're actually our next episode will be the 22nd, which is actually a day I'm leaving back to California so that we can scatter my grandma's ashes in the ocean, about where we scattered my grandpa. So we'll actually probably be doing our next episode live a week from today, but it won't actually show up on the podcast until the 22nd. So if you kind of want a sneak preview of what the podcast is and you want to listen live, we'll actually be doing it next week instead of 2 weeks from now. But that'll also mean for anybody listening live that will be then 3 weeks before you get to hear another episode. So hopefully we'll have some of you guys tune in. If not, the actual podcast itself will still go up on the 22nd, like it typically
It'll
does.
still be there, it just won't be live.
Right. It just won't. We just won't be doing. Or actually, it'll be Sundays. Sundays typically the day I actually put them up because I have to edit them and put all sorts of little things and run filters and all that fun fancy stuff. But yeah, that's just kind of a show note. We'll be doing, like I said, the Secret World Legends thing between now and then.
What was that?
Secret World Legends. See, I actually, what's sad is I had to physically stop my brain and then say it out loud. And we're actually still waiting, hopefully this week sometime we'll get together with the human Floyd and still do that role play thing that he talked about when he was on our show 2 episodes ago. It's just kind of been a scheduling thing. He's been very busy, and then with my grandma's passing, it really, and baseball, it threw a wrench into pretty much everything we were doing during the week, which he's only available Monday through Fridays. So, which is the reason we do the show on a Saturday.
Yep.
Yes.
So, but that's still in the works. It's still going there. I'm still talking to Floyd. He's still good people. Go over and give them a shout out.
Are we gonna role play with them at some point?
Yeah, we're still gonna do that thing where with his Argonian out in ESO with the 3 of us. We just have to probably, he's available basically Monday through Friday this week, so we just have to. I'm trying to see when we're gonna get together for our thing and then his thing and all that stuff. But that's all the behind the scenes stuff that's probably boring to listen to. Scheduling conflicts are entertaining, but not really. So go ahead here, start the outro music. But well, that's pretty much it for episode 12 here at RP MMO Radio. Everybody that tuned in, was listening to us live, we appreciate that. Everybody out there that downloads the show at, I know it's not called, it's Apple Podcast or some bullshit thing now. I have no idea. Whatever Apple's doing, download it there. See it at Google Play at RP MMO Radio. Visit us there at Facebook or at rpmmoradio.com. Throw us a line. If you've got any shout-outs or any role players that you want to give a shout-out to, somebody you think is exceptional, and you think maybe deserves a little shout-out on the show because they've done something, give us a line, throw it out there. We'd be happy to point them out and embarrass them for you with praise and worship. Let us know what they've done, what they do to kind of earn that community and that community respect and that of their guild mates and those around you. I think it'd be a fun thing to do.
I feel like we should go, I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy. But yeah, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of amazing role players out there, and we want to hear about them and from them. So give us
you guys are awesome.
Give us a shout at rpmmoradio@gmail.com or any of the other places like that. But so with that, that's pretty much all we have for this episode. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
later.
Thanks.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by RP MMO Radio are just that, and should not be taken as the gospel truth, but pretty close to it. Music provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great rock covers.